Hi friends, welcome back to the Saffron Box. I'm Yamini Sharma, and today in this video I'll speak about December 2022. So December is the last month in this year, and this month is free of a lot of stresses which come because of planets turning direct, planets turning retrograde, or a lot of tight conjunctions happening. So this month is relatively free. It has a more free flowing energy to it. It sees the usual transits, like the sun, we know, changes its rashis every month. We have sun transiting into Sagittarius. We have Mercury and Venus also moving into Sagittarius much ahead. In the month of December, within the 5th or 6th of December, Mercury and Venus would have moved to the sign of Sagittarius, and Sun follows after about 10-11 days. So this is the usual movement which we see of the inner planets. So Mercury and Venus are the inner planets. They stay close to the sun. So these three movements are very normal. They happen every month actually. So this month we see the transits of these planets. Apart from that, we have Jupiter, which has recently turned direct within its own sign of Pisces. I made a video on that as well. You can go check it out. Then we have Saturn. Saturn has also become direct in the sign of Capricorn, its own sign. And Saturn, anyways, is towards the fag end of its journey in the sign of Capricorn. So, in the month of January, Saturn will also be moving into the next sign, its own sign, that is Aquarius. So, Jupiter and Saturn are in their own signs. Then we have Mars. Mars energy is something which I think over the past few months we've all got used to also. Mars is currently retrograde within the sign of Taurus. It's been a long transit and it's going to be there for another few weeks, wherein Mars is going to be in the sign of Taurus itself. Right. So, and one more thing which we need to keep in mind is, since Mars is retrograde within the sign of Taurus, which is by default the second sign, it rules over the second house, falls in the second house of the Kalpurush Kundli. So, all in all, one needs to be careful about their speech, about the way they communicate, and the way they deal with their family members. It holds true for everybody, right? So Mars being there, Mars is a very impulsive planet. Mars is the energy which is very sharp, which does not think much, takes action first. So we may be very impulsive in matters of family or matters related to finances, etc. So all whatever the second house or the sign of Taurus signifies, we should be a little careful over there and basically avoid anything impulsive, no impulsive action to be taken, since Mars is retrograde. So whenever a planet is retrograde, it becomes even more powerful, and it wants to finish up whatever was pending, whatever was there left behind, right? So that energy is something which one has to be careful about, but otherwise the month seems to be free of the stresses which usually happen when a lot of movements are happening, right? Then we have Rahu in the sign of Aries, and we have Ketu in the sign of Libra. So this is more or less the planetary scene, the way the planets are disposed in this month of December 2022. So I'll go over all the signs as well. So do check your rising sign, do check your ascendant, and then see you can check the timestamps, and then go to the relevant part, what you want to listen to as well. So apart from the rising sign, ascendant, etc., which that is something which I always use in the predictions. You can also a lot of things will resonate from the moon sign as well. But why do we take the ascendant? Because ascendant is your physical body. Ascendant is you yourself, right? In your physical body. So whatever actions you got to take, you take with your ascendant, with your physical body. Say if you have a travel plan coming up, you'll have to physically go, you'll have to physically travel. Or if you have to do something, or if you have to undergo any kind of a medical issue, your health will suffer, so your physical body will suffer, right? So ascend that is why keeping the ascendant in mind is always important. So I'll begin with all the signs as well. So, going ahead with Aries first. So, if you have a Aries rising or Aries ascendant as such, your Lagnesh, that is Mars, is retrograde in the second house in the sign of Taurus, right? And Mars here is being aspected by Sun also, another fiery planet, right from the sign of Scorpio, seventh houses from itself. Mercury and Venus will anyways move into the sign of Sagittarius in the first week itself, first week of December. So this particular placement should actually make you be on guard with regard to your speech first of all. So the way you're communicating, the way you're communicating with your within your family should be in check. There should be nothing impulsive. You should avoid any rude way of speaking within the family members. Then the financial matters which you have, any assets which you have, be careful while taking any major decision, right? So do go ahead with any decision with a lot of information. Be informed about a decision. Mars being there retrograde can actually make you be very impulsive when it comes to financial decisions. So that is something which I would always advise. That is a major thing. And Mars is going to be here for some time. So regarding your finances, you've got to be on guard. You've got to be very mindful of the way you handle your finances. Also, Mars is the eighth lord also. So it is the Lagna Lord as well as the eighth Lord. It is directly aspecting the eighth house. So sudden events related to your family, sudden events related to your money matters can also spring up. So you've got to be careful over there. Then we have Mercury's, Venus, and then thereafter Sun moving on to the sign of Sagittarius. So, Sagittarius is your ninth house. Sagittarius falls into the ninth house for Aries. So, there could be travel plans, there could be a lot of movement. A lot of your travel houses, are getting connected here. The third house, the seventh house, and all these planets are, energizing the ninth house. So, travel plans can get activated because of education, or some of you might be undergoing some kind of a transfer or a change of place as well. So that is again something which you've got to be there you've got to be mindful about. Be careful about your travels as well. So pay attention to uh, what your future plans are, your travel plans are. You might some of you might take up last minute travels also, right? Then Saturn is in the 10th house. Saturn has anyways got another month and a half actually within the sign of Capricorn, that is your 10th house. So Saturn here enables you to put in extra work, put in more efforts towards your goals, towards achieving what you want, towards your karma as such. So, in general, we take it as your profession or as your job, your workplace as such. So, any last ditch efforts which you've got to make, I think this is the time to do it. You've got another 30, 40, 30, 45 days roughly to put in that last ditch effort. So, Saturn here is, anyways, now directed motion, and it is in a Kendra Bhava, its own house. So, try to utilize that energy as well. Then moving on to the next sign of Taurus. So for Taurus, you have Mars retrograde in your Lagna. Mars is your seventh lord as well as the 12th lord. So Mars has the ownership of a Marka Bhav and a Trik Bhav. So I'll come to that. What kind of effects will come? Then we have Sun, Mercury and Venus are currently in your 7th house, and they'll be all moving into the 8th house also. Mars in the Lagna is going to be aspecting all three of them. And remember, Venus is your Lagnesh. Venus is the planet ruling your Lagna. It is also going to be in the 8th house. So now sudden events can get triggered, right? Sudden events related to partnerships, related to your spouse, or sudden travel plans. You've got to be away from home suddenly something happens. So these kind of unexpected or sudden last minute plans can come up. You've also got to be careful with regard to your health. So if you're undergoing any bad phase of health, you've got to be extra careful. Take proper medical advice, undergo your checkups on time, right? Then apart from this, if you see the position of Saturn and Jupiter, so Saturn is in its own house, house of Bhagya, house of luck. And anyways, Saturn for you is an auspicious planet. Saturn is a yoga karak also for you. So Saturn brings in good results. Saturn brings in that stroke of luck which you need sometimes. Jupiter is in its own house, in the 11th house. Jupiter is in its own sign. So here also a lot of your wishes, a lot of your desires could get fulfilled. Unexpected gains can also happen. Now that will happen in case you're running a very favorable dasha in terms of money, in terms of materialistic stuff. So here something unexpected can come your way, some unexpected inheritance or unearned money you could come into. So those kind of things are also seen. But a piece of advice is to take care of the way you react. So Mars in your Lagna can make you very reactive. Or in some cases, if otherwise your planets are also indicating that, they could show you to be very short tempered. So people could perceive you to be very short tempered or very easily instigated into things. So you've got to keep a check over your temper, over the way you control yourself, over the way you are perceived, your personality is perceived by others, right? Then moving on to the next sign of Gemini. So for Gemini, for you, Mars is retrograde in the 12th house. Your Lagnesh is going to be moving into the 7th house along with Venus, and then later on Sun also follows, right? So here Mars is also going to be aspecting your 7th house with its 8th aspect. Mars for the Gemini Lagna, though it's the 11th lord, promises to give you your desires, fulfill your desires, etc. But remember, it's the lord of a upche bhava, two upche bhavas. So here, while your materialistic things, you could gain in your business and other things could happen, but for your relationships, here some temper issues can come. Your relationships in general, could suffer. So right from your partner to your life partner, to otherwise, relationships with other people can get marred because of uh, anger issues or because of sudden flare-ups of emotions, right? So something which is long forgotten comes up, and then you start off or you pick a fight with somebody. So that is something which you've got to be careful about. Be careful about your health as well. Mars being the 6th and 11th lord in the 12th house is not very good there. So while driving, while being away from home, being outside home, be careful of your surroundings. So small things, small sudden injuries, falls, these kind of things is something which you've got to be careful about. Otherwise, Jupiter in the 10th house promises good times in your work, at your workplace, in your career. Those of you who are due for something higher, it could be something better in terms of your emoluments or your promotion, your position, etc., could stand to gain during this time. Those of you who have their own work, who are working in their own business, are self-employed, etc., also could see good times in your work area as such, right? So with your partner, you've got to be careful. Otherwise, this month seems to be going on the good side only. Then we have Cancer ascendant or Cancer rising. So for you, you see, we have Sun, Mercury, and Venus currently in the fifth house, and they'll be moving on to the sixth house. So there'll be a three-planet conjunction in your sixth house. Then there'll be an aspect of Mars also on the sixth. This eighth aspect is going to be, they're looking at your sixth house. Then we have Saturn. Saturn is in the seventh in its own Rashi. Then we have Jupiter in its own Rashi in the ninth house. And that is, I think, a big saving grace for the Cancer ascendant. Jupiter, which is the ninth lord, is in its own house. It's a trine house, it's a trikona. So any trikona lord, when it comes to a trikona in its own sign, anyways, gains strength, and which is pretty good, right? So it helps you in your competitions, it helps you in any kind of a competition or any struggles which you're undergoing, right? So where you have to defeat opposition, it helps you out over there as well. So that is something which is, I think, the good part of this month. But remain careful about the opposition or your hidden enemies. Now Sun, Mercury, Venus, all of them are together in the sixth house, though Jupiter in the ninth is going to help you out, but you could come across people who are there in your opposition, right? So they could be people of the opposite gender, they could be people of with whom you've had a verbal fight way back sometime, and now they are there, you know that they are opposing you. So open opposition can happen, open opposition can be there and kind of disturb your daily routine. So deal with everybody carefully. I think that is my piece of advice to you. Avoid any ego issues, that is very important, right? So at workplace with your colleagues, just because of ego, just because of that 2 minute high which you get sometimes, which all of us get, which is a vice, which is not a good thing to do. We are not able to put our ego aside, right? So because of that, do not spoil relationships, do not speak rudely with people, that is important. Otherwise, with the sixth house being so crowded, with with Mars aspecting it, etc., I think this is a to handle this energy, I think it will be better if you get into a disciplined daily routine. And this, anyways, this is not only for this particular month, this is something which helps everybody. So as soon as your routine is set, your daily routine is well managed, your food intake, your diet, your exercise regime, all these things are well managed. Lot of things anyways start improving. As soon as we start improving things related to the sixth house, a lot of things, lot of opposition, lot of health issues anyways start resolving themselves, right? So that is something which you should definitely do this month. Avoid getting into any loans or debts. So avoid giving or taking money, don't get into loans either way. Then moving on to the next sign of Leo. So for Leo, your Lagnesh is currently in the Kendra Sthana, and it is moving to a Trikon Bhava in a friendly sign, one friendly sign to the other friendly sign. Then we have Mercury and Venus also moving along with Sun. We have Saturn sitting in the sixth house in its own sign. Then we have Jupiter also in the eighth house in its own sign. Mars, which is a trine lord for you, is sitting in the 10th house and retrograde in motion. So here, one thing which you've got to be careful about, first of all, is any on the spot, any impulsive behavior, right? So something which you've not thought over well. So impulsive behavior, uh, being too reactive at your workplace, with your superiors, with your father, with anybody who's senior to you. So these kind of things can disturb relationships. That is something which you've got to be careful. Same goes for your home environment as well. So at your home also, with your mother, with your family members also, your reactions should be well thought of. So do not react when it's not necessary. Do not overreact in any situation. Mars here sitting in the 10th house can actually make somebody very short tempered also. So reactions can be very impulsive and not wanted, right? So those kind of reactions can come up. Otherwise, a lot of your focus will be on your children, on your creative expression. So children can bring you a lot of happiness, a lot of good, connecting times with your children. So you could spend a lot of quality time with them. They can bring you a lot of happiness. Then, the fifth house with the presence of the Lagnesh and, Mercury, Venus, etc. So here, a lot of your focus could be on creative expression, as I mentioned, and um, being able to connect with people, being able to express yourself properly. uh, your love life or your romantic affairs could also see some smoothness. You could have a good time with your partner as well. So good times, memorable times can be spent. Also, people who are in the field of education, counseling, dealing with children, etc., could also benefit because of their good communication skills. So if you've already got good communication skills, you're dealing with children, you are a creative person, I think this is a good time ahead for you. For some of you, there could also be an opportunity to change jobs or change your job profile. So, some changes in the way you do your work. Within your organization, also, there could be a change of departments or change in your structure. These kind of things are also indicated. Then moving on to the next sign of Virgo. So if you have a Virgo rising or a Virgo ascendant, in this case, we have, at the beginning of the month, we have Sun, Mercury, Venus in your third house. So Mercury is your Lagnesh also. And then it comes to the fourth house, Mercury, then Venus, and then thereafter by the middle of the month, Sun also joins in. So a lot of focus on home matters, a lot of focus on home renovation, buying new things for the house, luxurious big ticket expenditure is also indicated. So when Sun comes here along with Mercury, Venus, here you could Jupiter is also in a Kendra Bhava. So something big, something which is on the luxury side, those things could be bought for the house. Some of you might also be getting into a new house purchase, right? And this is something which I have seen in my readings also. I'm seeing this, I've seen at least 3 or 4 readings in the last month where people have Virgo ascendant, and their luckily their dashas were also supportive. So these people have got into a new house purchase, right? So constructed property is something which they have got into buying. So that could also play up. This is also a good time for for you to connect with your children, for you to connect with your family members, good time to socialize, etc. So you could be entertaining a lot of guests, you could be entertaining a lot of friends over at home, right? Also, this is a time to fix up things in terms of, you know, renovation or repairing of things around your house, or also to fix up things socially or in your relationships. So focus on that. I think this month gives a very good energy towards doing it. Then, Mars is in the ninth house, in the trine retrograde. Mars is a first class malefic for the Virgo Lagna, right? So Mars owns the third and the eighth house, and it becomes a first rate malefic planet. So here in the ninth house, one could get into, arguments or tiffs with their teachers, with their guides, mentors, their father also. So that is something which you've got to be careful about. Avoid any overreaction towards these people. I think that is something which will land you in troublesome waters, right? So that is something which you should definitely avoid. Otherwise, Jupiter aspecting the Lagna in its sitting in its own house in the seventh gives a more or less easygoing time with your partner as well, and all is anyways good on the domestic front. Then I move on to the next sign of Libra. So if you have a Libra rising, Libra ascendant, in such a case, your Lagnesh is currently in the second house along with Mercury, along with Sun, and Venus moves into the third house, right? Then Mercury comes, and then Sun also moves into the sign of Sagittarius. The first half, I would say, is relatively good for you. Your 11th lord sun is the planet responsible for fulfilling your desires. It's your labhesh. So whatever labh you have, whatever gains you have, it rules over that, and it is sitting in the second house. So monetary gains, material gains, from that angle, the first half is good. It helps you out, but the second half could make you a little unsettled. So, work environment wise, you could get a little, unsettled, changes there. For some of you, it could be frequent travels. So, frequent travels are involved, frequent times away from home. In some cases, it may qualify in terms of spending long hours at work, so you don't get to enjoy the domestic comfort, don't get to enjoy the comfort of your home. So a lot of such times are indicated. Then we have Mars. Mars is your Markesh. Mars owns the second and the seventh house, and it is sitting in the eighth house in retrograde motion. So here it is very important for you to take care while driving. Do not be too adventurous, do not get into risky things. Be careful around electricity, be careful around any sharp equipments, any sharp things which you're handling. So any cuts, burns, injuries, all these things which happen suddenly, which are not of chronic nature, which just happen suddenly and they give you pain. So these kind of things can happen, so take care of yourself. Also, some kind of health obstacles. Remember, for the Libra rising, Jupiter is sitting in its own Rashi in the sixth house. Jupiter is a functional malefic for you, and it is sitting comfortably in the sixth house itself. So here they could be rise in opposition, people who are opposing you, or they could be rise in the debt which you are under, or they could be health trouble. So if you're already undergoing any health issue, then this is a time where you need to really take care of your health, right? Then I move on to the next sign of Scorpio. So if you have a Scorpio sign, a rising sign, or a Scorpio ascendant, in such a case, right now you have Sun, Mercury, and Venus in your Lagna. And then Mercury and Venus will move out, and Sun will follow soon by the middle of the month. Then we also have Saturn in your third house in its own sign. We have Jupiter in your fifth house. Jupiter is a good planet for you, is a benefic planet for you. It's the friend of the Lagnesh also, and it is sitting in its own house, that is the fifth house. So here, and Mars, which is the Lagnesh, is sitting in the seventh house, aspecting the Lagna and retrograde. So Mars becomes powerful for you. Mars has a lot of cheshta bal when it is retrograde. So here it gives a lot of strength to you, a lot of physical strength, and all in all, how does all this pan out for Scorpio rising is, while you enjoy good health during this period, you may have temperamental differences with people around you, right? So starting from your partner or people around you, relationships in general, you could have problems because of ego issues, because of talking rudely, tone of your voice, the way you conduct yourself. So you've got to be careful about your body language, you've got to be careful about the way you speak with others. That is something I would definitely warn you against. Verbal fights can also happen. So it's important to ignore small issues which don't matter in the long run, right? So something which can just be ignored and you can go ahead, I think it's better to do that. So do not pick petty fights, petty issues with your colleagues also. So relationship wise, I would say this is a little tricky month, right? So you've got to be careful yourself here. Otherwise, work wise, this is a good time. Then a good time for your children. You enjoy a good time with your children. Your children will do well. They will also bring in some good news or good bonding times with your children. So that is something which you should definitely enjoy. Matters of the heart are also pretty well disposed this coming month, in the month of December. So if you're in a romantic affair, if you have an active love life right now, I think this is a time where you have some good memories to make with your partner. Then moving on to the next sign of Sagittarius. So if you have a Sagittarius rising or Sagittarius ascendant, for you, the Lagnesh is sitting pretty in its own house, that is the fourth house. And Saturn is there in its own house, your Dhan Bhava, your house of wealth, house of money, that is the second house. And then we also have Sun, Mercury, and Venus coming into the Lagna. The second half is going to be better when the sun also comes. Sun is your ninth lord, your bhagyesh, rules over your luck, rules over your fortune, right? So overall this is a good period, I would say, in terms of luck, in terms of your career growth, the recognition. More and more people will recognize you for the kind of work which you do. You enjoy the domestic comfort. So if you were in a phase where you were feeling unsettled, I think this is a time where you enjoy your home, you enjoy times, good times being spent at home. Financially also, this seems to be a pretty good time for the Sagittarius ascendant, right? But one thing which we have to take care of here is Mars being retrograde in the sixth house. Mars is also a benefic for you, for Sagittarius. It is a friend of the Lagnesh. It is the ruler of the fifth house. So Mars is actually a benefic planet for you, but it is sitting here in the sixth, and it has been here, and it is going to be here for some time. So Mars in the Trik Bhava, though it gives you a lot of competitive spirit, a lot of ability to fight back, take on challenges, all those things can happen, but your health can be a source of concern, right? Can be a point of concern. So health issues have to be really looked into. Make sure that you're doing enough physical exercise. The Mars energy can be handled very well when you exercise yourself, when you use your muscles, when the blood flow increases in your body, right? So uh, that is something which you have to definitely take care of. Apart from this, the second half is better in terms of relationships, in terms of business, work, etc. So overall, a good time for Sagittarius as such. Then moving on to the next sign of Capricorn. So if you have a Capricorn rising or a Capricorn ascendant, uh, Saturn, which is your Lagnesh, is sitting in the Lagna itself in its own house, own Rashi. Jupiter is in the third house, not considered very good. Third house is a difficult placement for Jupiter to be. Then we have Mars in your fifth house, retrograde. We have Sun, Mercury, and Venus moving out from your 11th house to your 12th house. So, Rahu and Ketu are anyways in the 410 axis for you. So here I would say there could be a lot of expenditure on health issues, right? So it could be anything depending on your age and stage and your current physical health. So expenditure on health issues is anticipated, or some kind of expenditure on hospitals, buying medicines. It could be for yourself, it could be for your family members. So that medical expenses I see, for the Capricorn ascendant. Also, those of you who are undergoing any hormonal disorders, any problems related to the endocrine system here, could also face some challenging times, right? Jupiter is here in the third house, not a very great, time for the hormonal disorders. So if you already have any problem, I think you need to be a little more careful. Also, the relationship with your children should also be seen. So handle your children with care. Mars in the fifth house, retrograde. Mars is in the nakshatra of Rohini also. So here, a lot of impulsive things, impulsive action can be taken regarding your children. So make sure that you sit down with them, you communicate properly, and you're not flaring up any anger issues from either side. If you have grown up children, it becomes more prominent in many cases where anger issues are disturbing relationships, so you've got to be careful there. um, Travels could happen, right? So a lot of your travel houses are getting activated, your 12th house, your third house with Jupiter also there. So travel could be on the cards, change of residence could be also on the cards for a lot of Capricorn people, right? So those of you who are looking at education pursuits outside or away from home could also see some traction. Then I move on to the next sign of Aquarius. So if you have an Aquarius rising on an Aquarius ascendant, in such a case your Lagnesh is in the 12th house, though its own sign, but in the 12th house. The good news is that Saturn is going to be moving into the Lagna, that is into the sign of Aquarius, by the mid of Jan, right? So again, gives a lot of strength to the Lagna. Then we have Jupiter in its own house, second house. And Jupiter is also the Labhesh for you, rules over the 11th house. So here, financially, this could be a good time. Gains from your professional circle. New contacts could build up in your social circle while you're socializing, and it turns into some good deal, turns into some monetary gain at the end of it. So financial matters are well disposed. Then we have retrograde Mars in the fourth house. Disturbs the fourth house, disturbs the energy over here. Your domestic peace can get disturbed. So, you know, fights at home, conflicts with your mother, conflicts with people in general as such. If you're in a joint family, then this could turn worse. So keep your temper under check, keep your reactions under check, and try to spend as much time as you can on your work, right? Away from home, be busy. That is the way to expend this energy all the time. So this could, being at home could leave you very restless, leave you very dissatisfied. So spend your energy outside in productive things, right? So in your work or whatever you want to do. For some of you, it could also be simply working out every day, spending time on your body, on your fitness regime. So here, that is what you should definitely do. Then we also have Sun, Mercury, Venus moving on from the 10th to the 11th house. So here, a lot of communication, as I mentioned, with your social circle, with your elder sibling, lot of communication, lot of interaction, busy times socially. So as I said, Spend time outside, interact with more and more people, spend your energy outside home this month. It'll help you out. Then moving on to the last sign, that is Pisces. So if you have a Pisces rising or a Pisces ascendant, in that case, Jupiter is your Lagnesh, and it is going to be in the Lagna itself, right? So a lot of strength is provided to the Lagna when the Lagnesh is there. So a lot of strength there. We have Saturn. Saturn is the 11th lord. It is in the 11th house itself. Then we also have Sun, Mercury, Venus in a trine house in the ninth house, and moving on to the Kendra. So here a lot of energy, lot of support. Your self-driven energy is there. You're self-driven anyways. So Jupiter in the Lagna can help you out, can give you a boost, can support you. If you were undergoing some problems physically, this could help you recover also when it comes here. Then your triangle house is also activated. Kendra Bhava is also going to get activated. So a lot of support for you from your father, from your family, from people at work, seniors at work. So utilize this time pretty well. I think this is a wonderful time, wonderful transit, and a good placement of planets overall, right? But there could be a lot of short journeys, especially in the first half of the month. A lot of journeys, a lot of time you get to spend away from home. Mars is there in your third house, so it makes you, your movements could be very frequent outside, away from home as such. So that is something which I definitely see. Do take care of your relationship with your siblings, with your brothers, especially. Mars retrograde in the third house itself could bring your relationship with your younger siblings, with your brothers, etc., up to the front. So this is also, in a way, a good time to resolve any kind of a conflict or resolve any kind of a problem which you have with your siblings, right? So make sure that you're doing that. This month also gives you a lot of energy to compete. As I said, work wise, this is a good time. So, uh, good energy to compete, to manage competition. So, utilize this month very well, is what I would like to say to the Pisces rising, Pisces ascendant. Looks like a overall, it looks like a good month to me. So that was all about all the 12 signs. I'll meet you very soon in my next video. Till then, take care and God bless you all.